So on your website, it says that Oklahoma has some of the most progressive cycling laws in the country. What exactly does that mean? And could you tell me what some of those laws are? Because I have never heard anyone say that before.
I know it's kind of a strange thing. It's kind of low hanging fruit too. The governor, had that initiative to make us a top 10 state in certain areas. And I don't think that he has quite realized, or his administration has quite realized yet, that by passing House Bill 1770 last year, that we do have some of the most progressive cycling laws in the country, arguably probably in the top 10 of cycling laws. House Bill 1770 did a few things. A few years ago, there was a bill that was passed, lovingly referred to as a dead red light, and it had instructions in there for motorcycles and for bicycles. And at the last minute, as happens sometimes when it's in committee, some language gets stricken from a bill. Bicycles got stricken from the bill. What that bill enabled people to do is whenever you roll up to a red light, on a motorcycle and the magnetic sensors don't register your motorcycle, it stays red and will never turn green for you. Well, the law was written that if you are in such a scenario, if you have sat there for a long time and determined that that light's not going to change, and you look both ways and you ensure that it's safe for you to cross, then you can proceed through a dead red light. Well, they took cyclists out of that. Cyclists on a bicycle, those bicycles are much lighter, and some of them don't even have a whole lot of metal on them for the sensors to pick up. So changing the law to add bicycling back into that enabled people to go ahead and pass through those red lights. Now that's a great thing right there. And that was an easy fix thing. But what else it did is it also allowed us to create something called the Idaho Stop here in Oklahoma. There's a big history there. It's called the Idaho Stop because that's the state that it originated in. But what it is if a cyclist comes up to a stop sign, not a red light, a stop sign, and determines that it is safe to proceed, and there's not oncoming traffic and stuff like that, that they can maybe just slow down and then push through the stop sign. There's a whole bunch of scientific information out there that shows the numbers that this is a safer way for people to be on the road. City governments get this information. People know this in the transportation industry. I know there are a lot of people out there that get irate whenever they see cyclists on the road, or when they see people in spandex, or whenever they think cyclists are breaking the law, which, up until last year, cyclists were breaking the law if they were running through stop signs. But now it's legal, and they can come up to and roll through that stop sign. It saves the traffic from slowing down so much, because when a cyclist comes to a stop, it takes a lot longer for them to get going up to a comfortable speed for traffic to be able to go around. So having those kinds of things makes us pretty progressive. I think there's only like 10 states in the entire United States that have passed something similar. So it increases the safety for people on the roads, both on bicycles and in motorized vehicles. We also passed a couple of things in HB 1770. It's against the law to harass cyclists. So if people are throwing things at cyclists, rolling up behind them and honking to try to scare them because they think it's funny, those things are illegal. And police departments have jurisdiction to cite people for those kinds of offenses. There was a little hiccup not too long ago. A couple of municipalities, even though it was written into the law that this was the law of the state and all municipalities must, do what the law says, that there were a couple of them that thought that their city ordinances superseded this state law. But we have been working with these municipalities to make sure that they understand the letter and the intent of the law, and that it is enforced appropriately. Because like we said, we didn't pass this to give cyclists extra rights on the road. We passed this to make cycling safer, to make it safer for motorists being around cyclists, to protect everybody while they're out on the road.
Okay.
There's a lot going on in there.
Yeah, because that's something I've never really thought too much about. I've just only thought of bicycling as like, oh, in some places they have their own little lane, and some places they don't. That's all I've ever thought about whenever it comes to cycling laws.
Sure.